Hi guys, and welcome to Lina Knits episode 7. I'm Lina and I'm coming to you from Helsinki, Finland. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I'm really glad you're here. And if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for choosing to spend a little time with me, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. You can find me as LinaFin on Ravelry, and I have a group there, or the podcast has a group there called Lina Knits. I'm also on Instagram as Lina Knits, and you're welcome to follow me there. And of course, join the group and subscribe here on YouTube. The podcast also has a Pinterest board where I pin photos related to what I show and talk about here on each episode, and that's also Lina Knits. And then there's the blog where I post show notes and embed each video for those of you who don't like to come to YouTube, and that's at linawrappedinwool.blogspot.fi. And all of these links are found in the YouTube header, and also on the Ravelry group's website. All the Ravelry groups sort of header text, intro text. So glad you're here, and would love to hear from you. I've really enjoyed all the interaction that I've had with you, getting to know you through Instagram and through the group in Ravelry. So please continue to chat away with each other and with me. It's so great to be part of this lovely knitting community. First of all, I just want to say that I just did a recording of the full episode, and when I went to close it, I just realized that the start button had never been activated. So if I feel like I'm rushing things, it's because of that, and if it feels like I'm referring to something that I supposedly said but I didn't say, it's also because of that. I'm trying to concentrate, but let's see. Let's hope this one works. Yeah, in the group we've had Just For You January thread. We still have it there. Of course, this is still January, and you can still knit Just For You. But some of us got a head start and started in December, right after the holidays. So there's been a chatter of plans on what people want to knit for themselves and what they have knit. There's a lovely Babel hat there and matching mittens that that the knitter just suddenly turned up with, I think in 2 days, both the mitts and the hat. And there's been a shawl started, a cowl, a mystery knit along joined, and Eric from the Sticks Plus Twine podcast is planning on casting for what I believe is his first sweater, so that'll be interesting to see the progress of that. Definitely selfish knitting, that one, but totally people deserve to knit for themselves. That's my motto. I mean, if you knit, why not knit for yourself as well? The whole idea came from me knitting, sort of getting tired of knitting during November and December when I was doing a lot of gift knitting, and I love to knit for other people as well, but I don't like deadlines, so I should have started earlier. In this year, I think I could go for sort of a gift per month sort of thing. I think starting somewhere around May or something, just so that I don't get burned out right before Christmas. Have I gotten to all the projects that I dreamed of starting in January? Nope. Have I only been knitting for things for myself? Nope. But I'm still knitting something for myself. Sorry about my cough. It's getting worse and worse. I didn't even know I had a cough before I started talking. The only finished object that I have is non-knitting object, but it's cross stitch. This is the floor plan of our little apartment with the date of when we moved in, which is 15th of January last year. So we have been here almost exactly a year at the moment. The front door is where the little heart is, and this one is our balcony. This is our kitchen, this is our living room, and I'm sitting at our kitchen table here, facing that way, so what you're seeing is the view to back here. This idea wasn't mine. It was from Ida of the No Name podcast. I haven't been able to find her on Ravelry or Instagram. So Ida, if you're watching, please let us know how we can follow you and get in touch with you. I'll of course link to your podcast, the YouTube channel, on the show notes. Ida is from Norway or Denmark. Anyway, from the Nordic countries, and it was really fun to find her podcast, because I love watching podcasts from all over the world, seeing the differences in culture and the climate on what we need, but also noticing the similarities. And of course, knitters are knitters everywhere. We all like yarn, and we all like project and knitting. So there's a lot in common already there. And also I think what I find interesting is that people from different countries, what are their go-to yarns. I found a lot of indie designers, designers as well, but indie dyers as well, through podcasts, and also what people see as sort of workhorse yarns in different countries and different continents even. Ida did her floor, or is doing her floor plan as freeform embroidery. I did mine in cross stitch, like I mentioned in the first episode, which you probably won't hear since the sound quality of that one is really bad. But anyway, I mentioned that, sorry, I'm rambling. I mentioned that I have a background in cross stitching, that I did it for like 10-12 years, very intensely. I hadn't done anything in about 2 years, so when I saw that floor plan, I was like, yeah, I want to try that. I'm gonna do a cross stitch floor plan. And I told Ida that I was going to copy her idea, and she said that I'm welcome to do so, but I just wanted to give credit to the source. So yeah, I have tons of cross-stitch fabric and floss and what have you from those days. So I did that, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I'm going to try to work on some of my very old works in progress from my cross-stitching years, a bit here and a bit there. But I'm not going to set any limits on or goals on what I want to finish when. Just want to enjoy it and do it when it feels good. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to find a small frame for it and then hang it on our hallway, probably somewhere here close to our front door. And then as I know that this most likely, can you say no, and then most likely, well, this most likely won't be the apartment that I live in for the rest of my life. So I thought that for each new home that we'll be living in, I'll do a floor plan of that and hang all of them in the next to the front door or near the front door, sort of a family history tour of our houses. Anyway, so that's the only thing that I've finished. Then what I've been working on, I could start with the non-selfish works in progress. And the first one is my son's mittens that I showed a couple of episodes ago. I was done during somewhere in the cuff of the first mitten, but now I finished it and I started the cuff of the second one. This pattern is Mini Mochi Springy Ring Mittens by Cathy Campbell, and it's a free pattern. So if you need, it has sizes for sort of children, then 2 sizes for women and 2 for men, if I remember correctly. I don't quite like the thumb, but my son tried this on and it was okay for him, so just gonna go with it. fingering weight mittens, yeah, not so great for winter, but why am I knitting these now is there are two reasons. One, I did the hat with the same yarn and I wanted to do matching mittens, and I also want to do socks. This is how much I have left. So I know that the socks are going to be striped, so I'm hoping to have this as the sort of the bottom or the foot, and then stripes for the legs of different odd ends. I think I'm going to use the crisp advent calendar stripes, that yarns that I got from the Atwood calendar, since there are still some of them have a bit longer bits that I think for a small children's sock they would make a few row stripes. But to get to the socks that he needs, really needs, because we started ice skating, the whole family. I haven't skated, ice skated since high school, I think. So it's been yeah, quite many years. But since my son is their daycare group is going to go ice skating this winter, and I know that he starts in the school when he starts school next year. He's 6 now, so he starts school next autumn. That they'll go skating there. So it's something that I just wanted him to learn before going to school. And yeah, I found my skates. I didn't even know I had them. So I found them, and my partner bought new ones for himself, and we just went skating. We've done it twice now in 1 week, and it's been a lot of fun. So anyway, he needs hand knitted socks. All of us do. I just like having hand knitted socks or just wool. You need wool socks for skates and skating so that your toes don't get cold. So he needs socks. But before I get to the socks, I need to knit the mittens, so that I know how much yarn I have left over, because I do want to do the mittens fully in this yarn. Yeah, and also he can use this during the very cold winter days as sort of under mittens. So put these on and then put his winter gloves on, and then he should be toasty warm. Yeah, the weather. I've heard it mentioned in a lot of places that December was unseasonably warm, and then bang, January came and the weather turned crazy cold. So it was like -20, -24, and the worst days here for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. Now it's -10 and it's more reasonable. But the cold weather can return at any moment, so we need to be prepared. Which is why I'm also doing socks for my partner. Like I mentioned in the last episode, he only has 1 pair of socks knitted by me, and those got a hole in them about a week ago. And now the hole starts getting bigger and bigger. So he actually asked me to knit him a new pair of socks. I'd said him that I will knit him a new pair of socks, but he asked me if I could start them now. So I just can't say no. He's so supportive of my hobby, of me knitting all the time, of me running to yarn stores in every holiday that we take, and very happily just sitting there on a stair or somewhere, or even choosing yarn colors for me, and helping me with the podcast, with lighting and the microphone and everything. So really, he deserves good socks. So what I did is I started the Farmer McGregor socks by Alice Yu from the Socktabus book. This is one of the goals that I have, or sort of rules that I set for myself for this year. I'm trying to keep it as stress-free as possible, but then I made some rules to help me stick to the stress-freeness of it, if that makes any sense. So what that means is that I do not really want to commit to any mystery knit-alongs, for example, or even that many knit-alongs with a specific pattern. I'm happy to join shawl-alongs because I know I'll do shawls, sock-alongs because I know I do socks. um, all that general stuff, because I do enjoy the chatter and the you know, I do enjoy mystery knitting a lot too, but there's just so many patterns that I want to get to, so I'm sort of taking a break from that. Also test knitting, I'm really weighing in if I want to commit to deadline or not. And one of them is that I've been feeling a bit guilty about is that I have all these lovely books on my shelf, and I just haven't knit much from those since I'm always jumping on the latest knit along bandwagon, or mystery knit along bandwagon, as it happened last year. I didn't even know how many mystery knit alongs I did, probably 10, I don't know, too many. I did enjoy every single project that I did, but too many, because then there were too many other patterns that I wanted to get to and didn't have time to get to. So I'm just gonna pick a few books at a time, knit whatever patterns I want from them, and then just, you know, put them back in the shelf and pick new books. So that's sort of what I'm doing, and it'll also help me in deciding on what to cast on next when I have these sort of few books to browse through. So these patterns, these socks are from the Socktabus book, and this yarn is by Handu. It's the textile wool plus nylon, so I think she calls it TexIlu strong, and this is slightly on the thicker side of fingering, I would call it, but it's not sport, but anyway, and it's really robust. You can feel it that it's sort of local wool, since this is actually the same as, I'm jumping subjects again, the finished ship February is coming on my group and on Brownie Knits group, Gina's group, and my price for the finished object there was these 2 skeins of Handu's textile wool skeins. These are 100% wool, and these are sort of robust, and they're local yarns. The sheep, the spinnery, and the dyer all live here in southern Finland, so it's something special, for maybe something that people from other countries maybe can't get that easily. Of course, Handu does ship anywhere in the world, I believe. And also the Finns seem to really like that yarn, so wherever the winner is from, I hope that they like it. So anyway, I had one more skein of it with the nylon in it. So I started the socks for my partner, and I chose the largest size since he does have very muscular calves. He does a lot of cycling, and he has big feet. So I thought this large size would be good. But I mean, this just looks humongous. No one can. These are just huge. And I've had him try these on like every other row, because I'm just like, you know, tell me if they're too big and I'll just rip it back and start the medium size for you. And when I got to this far, it really just hit home that it is a large sock. So again, we try it on. This is where I start to do the heel. And well, it's not big, so it's not like gaping, but it's not tight either. But he told me not to rip it back. So what I'm going to do instead, and I hope it works, is that after the heel flap for the gussets, I'm going to be increasing down to the medium size so that the foot part will then be tighter and maybe fit him better. And I hope it's not too difficult, as the bottom part is stuck in it, stitch only. So just decreasing a bit more often, I think, during the gusset. I don't know. We'll have to try it on often, and I do hope that by the time I hit the toes, it's not, it's too big, just start over, because this really is a lot of work. But I do like the pattern. It's really nice to knit with, and it's really nice. And even with this, I think if someone had a sort of silkier, smoother yarn, I don't mean silk yarn, but not so robust as this one, the pattern would look even better, but I really like it here as well. So it's nice to knit on this, and he's very happy when I pick this up in the evening. But with the mitts, my son's socks that I need to start soon, and his humongous socks, it does cut down on the time I have for myself, or I mean knitting things for myself. I just noticed that when I do this, you see the pile of yarn there. I'm in the middle of organizing my yarns. If I scoot this way, then you can see the glass cabinet where all of my yarn is supposed to be in, but they're not fitting in. I have too much, so they don't fit in there. So I need to come up with some other system, since yarn sitting on floor just isn't the right way to do it. So yeah, I'm in the middle of that. So sorry if it looks a bit rude back there. It's not meant to be. One of the things that I have been knitting for myself is the Atwood shawl by Nicole Clark of the Hugh Loco podcast and Etsy shop. I haven't made that much progress with this, but this is great TV knitting. So when we're watching something that I need to intensely concentrate on, I'm doing this. I really apologize for that. I'm really happy with the yarn and pattern match. Like I said, I'm not readily committing myself to any sort of certain pattern cals, but the Atwood shawl with its classic simplicity was sort of calling for me, and I just realized that it's a great pattern to use for my more variegated yarns that have been difficult to find projects for, and one of them is this. I still have the other one. I'm doing the large one, so I have two skeins for it. It's from Tail and Tendril, a lovely Etsy seller. Highly recommend her. This is her Tendril base, which is 100% merino, and it's a single ply. And this is into the Vortex, so it's one of the Doctor Who inspired colorways. She does a lot of, I believe, in her website or in her Etsy shop at the moment. Yeah, I just looked at it a few days ago when she did an update. She has, I think, some more Doctor Who. Then there's some Tolkien, Lord of the Rings and Hobbit inspired yarns. Then I think there's some Jane Austen and the likes. So do go and have a look. I really like the fabric this single yarn is producing, and I like how the colors, they don't pull, they don't strike, they just blend nicely. So I'm really happy with this one and can't wait to have it finished. I think the cal finishes at the end of January, so without setting goals for myself, I'm trying to finish it for that, and it should be doable. If I don't finish, no worries, I'll get it done sometime and then I'll have a lovely shawl. Anyways, what else did I intend to show you? Yeah, I started, this is one of the projects that I planned on starting during Just For You January, and it's the Chateau by Melissa Schaschwary. I hope I pronounced it even remotely closely. So I'm knitting the Chateau, which is, it has these cables, small and large ones, and then bits of just plain stockinette stitch. I'm knitting this out of Jaeger, extra fine merino chunky, which is 100% merino wool. I've had the pattern and the yarn for I think 2 years now, so it was about time to get it cast on, and I think this will be perfect for the weather we're having right now for winter, the cold winter days. The pattern says to knit with 9.5 millimeter needles, and the closest I had to that was 10, and I did the cast on with those. And while I was knitting the very first row, I hated it. I hated every single stitch that I did, and it's thought this way I will never finish it, because silly me, I thought chunky needles, chunky yarn, no time it'll be finished, and that's just not the case. Now I'm using 8 millimeter needles, and I'm really sorry I did not check the what it is in US sizing, and this package doesn't say, but 8 millimeters, it's really chunky anyway. But with these I can knit, it's bearable, but my hands get tired really quickly. So at the moment I'm sort of aiming for 10 rows per day. It should still not take that long since it is chunky, and 10 rows is about that much, I think. But yeah, I'm knitting a row here, a row there, so that my hands don't get sore and too tired. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've knit anything with that needles of that size, so I had forgotten what it feels like. Or then my hands have gotten used to smaller needles, and now they're just sort of screaming, "What are you doing? This isn't knitting." But I'm sure that'll be a lovely, it's sort of a shrug type thing, so lovely garment once it's done. And I like the color, sort of a deep teal. And what else? Yeah, I started the cozy memory blanket, as those of you who follow me on Instagram already know. And the middle one is dark green and not black as it shows from here. 3 squares so far. And I know that only a couple of episodes ago I said that I'm not doing the Cozy Memories blanket, that I'm using my scraps to do the beekeeper's quilt. And whoopsie daisy, I changed my mind. I'm still doing the beekeeper's quilt. I'm just using my own scraps for it. So whatever is left of the Atwood shawl, I'll do the hexie puffs from that. Of course, if there's plenty left over, then I'll do some minis for possible future swaps. But for this Cozy Memories blanket, I'm going to be using yarns that I get from other knitters, so that it'll be my sort of online knitting community memory blanket. But that's too long of a name, so Cozy Memories blanket it is. And I'm counting all sorts. I mean, gifted, swapped, gotten with orders. And this first one is from Nicole from the Hue Logo podcast and Etsy shop. I ordered the XL sized project bag from her. This is super cute with foxes and polka dots. And this one has the it's so dark, it doesn't show, but this one has the Chateau in it and all the yarn for it. So this one holds now the work in progress and 750 grams yarn. Is it that much? No, 450 anyway. So this will be a the XL size bag is great for sweaters and large projects, like the name says, but it really is roomy. So this lovely mini has sort of a gold stellina on it, but the camera's not picking it up. And this one I'm doing with 2.75 millimeter needles, and that's US 2. Yay! Good for Haya if I'm measuring both sizes. And then the other two, the dark green and the slightly variegated pink one, I got from a swap with Andy from the Andre Knits podcast. And this was just an informal swap that we decided to do. She sent me 5 minis, 2 that are in the blanket, and these 3 that I still saved up to show you, since I think mini skeins are just super duper cute. And Andy has also an Etsy shop, and she dyes yarn, and these are, I believe, her own yarns. I don't know if these have any color names, or if these are just something that she experimented on or something, but they're really, really beautiful and really nice. And for that blanket, I'm just really not thinking about what goes with what. I just pick a skein and knit. So far I only have these 3 others, so if anyone wants to do a swap of minis with me, I'm more than happy. I do not have many store-bought minis. I have some, but not many. But from whatever fingering weight leftovers I have from projects, I can send those. I can minify those and then send them in swaps. So that'll be my online friend blanket thing. The Melissa from the Spicy Homemaker podcast is doing these sort of mini skein swapless swaps, which means that you're not really sending anything to anyone, but you're getting stuff, which sounds great. It's basically Amy from Bohemia Fibers, whom I've done a lot of business with, and who is a really, really wonderful person and a true artist, I would say, with her custom colors and just with her sense of colors. She's an artist. Anyway, what the Spicy Homemaker podcast group is doing is they're assembling these groups of people. At the moment, I think there's a few spots open in the 10 gram mini skein swap. So what you do is you post a picture that you would like to have dyed up as yarn, and then other 9 people in that group will do the same. So Amy will have 10 pictures, and she'll dye 10 skeins of yarn, which is then minifies, and you get 10 gram mini skeins from different yarns. So, and you pay Amy. So while those are minis that I buy, they will also be sort of minis from my online friends, since they have decided on the colorway. So I think those will go on the blanket, definitely. I think 10 grams is something that will yield for 2 squares. But I only want to have 1 of each. So whatever is left over of those then will go to the Hexie Puff or the Beekeeper's quilt. Yeah, if anyone could give me sort of an estimate of how much of yarn you need for each skein, that would help me with the swaps a lot. I measured the first one, and my kitchen counter said that it weighs 5 grams, but I'm not sure if it's that accurate, since 5 grams does seem maybe a bit cutting close to it. I don't know. So anyone want to help me out with how much yarn you need for 1 square? I would really appreciate that. Oh yeah, and while I was knitting the very first square, I was watching Danny from Little Bobbins Knits podcast, and she had just finished her absolutely gorgeous Cozy Memories blanket, and she was telling her audience about how long it took her to weave in all the ends. So I decided to do it straight away. So I've weaved in all of the ends on here, and the one that I started with, the last one, and this is still here, because I just find it easier to weave it in when I have another square there. I don't yet know how big I want to make this quilt, but it'll be a long work in progress. I'm not expecting to get that ready in, I don't know, years. Yeah, so in the swap package, Danny also sent me a row counter, which is really nice. I only have the sort of ones where you click the beads because I wanted to buy something pretty. So I got that a few years ago. And it's fine when you have to sort of do, say, 7 repeats of something, then that's easy. But if you need to count 40 rows, then I think something like this will be better. So I'm really looking forward to giving that a try. Thank you so much for that, Andy. Also, lovely sheep sticky notes. And then this absolutely cute pink owl progress keeper. We as a whole family are just sort of have a thing for owls and pink. Yeah, this is so me. Now I just need to remember to put those on my projects. I have one that I got with my wool and wine yarns that I showed last episode. So now I have 2, and I think I need to start using them so that I can show you and show myself the progress that I've made. And also there was this tiny tin, and I really loved what was inside. There were these labels that you can put into your knitwear or other garments that you make. They say handmade, and they're sorry, gold and silver. And there are several of these then, and I think they will be really wonderful to add to any knitted gifts that I do in the future. And yeah, one more project that I haven't been able to show you that I've been working on, and actually that leads me to a question, is there's a needle. First of all, there's a needle sticking here because I just noticed during the failed recording that I had a stitch loose, so I just caught it with the needle. But these are Beatbox socks by Niina Risulainen, and this was designed for sock competition that the Finns decided to do. I'm sure most of you know or have heard of Sock Sniper. So they I think in the spring you have Sock Madness, then in the summer you have Tortoise Sock, and then after that you have Sock Sniper. And I think all of those are for charity, so people donate the patterns there, and then you pay a sum to participate in the games, and then that money is given to charity. So Finns in general are crazy sock knitters, and most of them are crazy fast at that. So apparently all of these were not enough for them. So in one of the Finnish groups that I'm in, they decided to host a snowball fight competition, which the rules are pretty much the same as the Sock Sniper ones, which I don't quite get, but people who do seem to really enjoy it. So I think there were 5 or 6 patterns. I purchased the patterns, which means I gave money to charity, and then I got the patterns. And since I think all these sort of things are really great, I mean, if they're fun for those who participate, it's great that these things are done for charity. So I just wanted to participate, so I paid my dues and got the patterns, but I also volunteered to test knit one of the sock patterns, and I was sworn to secrecy until the competition started, and that was on the 8th of January. So I think I started this in November. I got the pattern in November, and I'm so ashamed. I just feel like kicking myself all the time. I had 2 months to knit a pair of socks, and I knit just this one. So I was a really, really bad test knitter. But yeah, this pattern, which I believe and I hope is going to be available after the competition for others, but we'll get back to you on that when I know for sure. This is a colorwork pattern and it's really clever. It has 2 colors that make up these sort of squares, different types, but you only carry 1 yarn at a time, since the pattern is worked with slip stitches, and the bottom is striped with the 2 colors. So again, you only carry 1 yarn and do the stripe bottoms and then the pattern on the top. And since the pattern pulls in a lot, these haven't been plugged, so excuse me for the extra scrunchiness. But the pattern is a lot tighter than the stockinette bottom, so what happens is that the sort of sole of the sock creeps up towards the top, so it sort of creates this slipper type of thing for the socks, which is quite unique, I think. So my intention is to finish the other sock while the competition is going on, since I feel so crappy for not doing it sooner. The yarns for this sock were chosen by my partner. I gave him all of the less than 100 grams skeins that I had of sock yarn, and he picked these 2. This one is again by Handu, and it's her merino-nylon sock yarn in fingering weight. And then this one is Supernatural Banshee base, Supernatural Yarns Banshee base in Michonne, The Walking Dead. So another aspect of my geekiness, Doctor Who and Walking Dead. Yeah, and this is what I used for my color book holiday shawl as one of the colors. So I had plenty left over, and this one has sort of, it doesn't show up in the camera, it's so subtle, but it has a tiny bit of stellina in it, so it has a subtle glitter on it, but it's not too visible. It's not, these socks aren't glitter socks. But anyway, I knit the second one and I block them, and then I'll show them again. The pattern is easy. I learned a few new things, but it is something that you have to pay attention to, and this is the proof. So in the pattern part, you knit 1 row and purl the other, but in the bottom you should, for the sole stitches, you should always knit, of course. But see this? Not paying attention to where I was at all. 2 purl rows there. It's not, but I'm not the type of person to just read back. I think I noticed it somewhere around here, so no way, no how. They're my mistakes. I can live with them, my socks. The other pair, I'm gonna switch the colors around so that they're gonna be a fraternal pair. I'll start with the brown one. I wanted to do that anyway, but when I noticed how small this pink one, or the purple one, pinkish purple one is getting, I got a bit worried that it wouldn't last if I did if it was the main color, so I switched those up. But anyway, yeah. So that's one thing I'm doing, and that lives in my other project bag. I try cut, and I have cut back on yarn purchasing, but then I keep on buying something else. So project bags seems to be the thing now. This is again from Etsy, and it's by Madeira or Madeira, however she means it to be pronounced. How can I show it to you so that you see it fully? No, it's not showing up. Anyway, I believe she only has this one size, and it's good for socks. She also has this sort of boxy back, but I think that's also sock sized. Can highly recommend it. This is really good quality as well, lined with a cute tiny polka dot pattern. And I think that's all that I've been working on. Yeah. Oh, one thing that I meant to ask is, does anyone have any tips on how to make the toes of your sock fit better? I know with this pattern, the my hair is everywhere. Every other podcaster is picking up cat hair and dog hair, and I'm just picking up my own hair from my works. Yeah, toes. This, of course, is a special kind of toe, and not maybe the best example, but this happens in other socks too. So I knit, and then start decreasing when the pattern tells me. So I measure my foot and I measure the pattern, and 2 inches, 1.5 inches, whatever the specific pattern calls for, I start doing the decreases. And when I have the finished sock and I pull it on, it feels too big. Now, most of the time I don't mind it, because I mainly wear my hand-knit socks just around the house, and it doesn't matter if they're a bit loose around the toes or not. But I just started thinking about it really, and I think the problem is not that it's too big as such. The length from the heel to my big toe is usually quite good, but it's sort of, imagine my big toe is on this side, so it's sort of like this side has extra fabric on it. I think my feet are just a bit narrower than the standard foot is, so I sort of end up with extra fabric above the other toes. I think maybe my feet are just really strangely shaped. But anyway, if anyone has any tips on what toe decreases produce the best fit for narrow feet, or just any extra things, should I start the decreases earlier than what the pattern says? I have a lot of socks that I want to knit quite soonish, so any hints or tips or advice that you have on how to make the socks fit around the toe area well are something that I could really use soon. So if you have any tips, please let me know in the comments here, or in the Yahoo group. What am I talking about? Ravelry group, or PM me, message me on Instagram, anything. I would really love to hear the ideas for how to make socks that have better fitting toe sections. I don't know if there is any tricks. Maybe I have to figure one out myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been doing a lot of things, and I think some people might just chalk it up as January madness, new year, new habits, full of energy. Yay, I can do this, I can change everything, I can be everything, I can do everything. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of knitting. I've been doing some sewing. I shortened all the curtains in our house. We've been living here a year with 2 long curtains, and I just one evening I just did it, and I just don't realize why I didn't do that earlier. But I sewed a skirt. I did that cross stitch bit. I'm full of ideas for design ideas, pattern ideas that I want to make. So I've been doing some of that, and I don't care what it is. I just feel really happy that it is happening, without getting into too deep into the dark details of my life outside of craftiness. Let's just say that the past 3-4 years haven't been the easiest for me. First, sort of emotionally, and the last year physically, health-wise. So I'm okay, nothing serious, but it's just I haven't had the energy really, and now I suddenly have, and I'm just really enjoying it. I'm not really holding myself back, but I'm trying not to set too many goals or high expectations. I know I want to knit sew more skirts. I know I want to knit 100,000 things for myself and for my son and for my partner and for my friends and everyone, and I want to cross stitch, and I want to spin, and I want to, everything. And I'm just really letting myself do all that, but just trying to keep it sort of so that it doesn't go out of hand, so that I don't have hundreds of projects going at once. So if I sew a skirt, I'll sew that skirt and I'll forget the cross stitch part for that moment. If I feel like stitching, I'll stitch. And yeah, I definitely need to finish it February that I'm doing next month with Gina from Brownie Knits. I don't know if I said that already. This episode, I talked about it on the latest on the previous podcast as did Gina from Brownie Knits. But yeah, I need that to get the number of works in progress down into a sort of level that I feel comfortable with. As you notice, I'm not. If you look at my project pages on Ravelry, you see that I have like 20 works in progress, but I'm only like now I'm working with 5 projects. So that's really my limit. I can't handle more in one go. So the other ones are sort of just staying there, nothing's happening with them. So that's what I'd like to get it down to. So that's why I'm having to finish in February. I just want January to relax and to enjoy, and like it seems to be working, getting my energy back and enthusiasm and creativity back, and then I'll handle the works in progress, finished, rip out, whatever, just minimize them, and then I think just see what happens. I'm not making goals. I'm not saying 2016 no mystery knit alongs. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to be more conscious of what I do and what it is that I really want to do in the long term, maybe. So since I don't remember if I mentioned the finish in February, it'll be happening in February in my and Gina's group, and what we'll have is both of us will have prizes, and I'll draw these 2 skeins from the finished object photos, and I'll draw 1 pattern from all the chatter that's there. So even if you participate but don't finish anything, you still have a chance to win something. And this is just because I think I need a lot of help, a lot of cheering on with some of my works in progress that I do want to finish, but for some reason have stalled. And I'm sure there are some of you with similar problems. So anyway, I think I'll stop rambling now. Thank you so much for watching, and don't hesitate to contact me in any manner. I love to get to know you. And see you next week. Bye.